The day after the election results has brought the Monday blues for the Congress after the Super Sunday for the BJP. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Our special election analysis of these results continues. What does it mean for 2024? What does it mean for the India Alliance? Leaders like Omar Abdullah are warning that if things continue like this, we will, quote unquote, not even be able to save ourselves. Meanwhile, some Congress leaders have triggered a huge debate online by suggesting that the elections need to be seen through the prism of a north-south divide. This debate has also got ferocious pushback, and not just from the BJP. How do we understand everything that's happened, and how do we look ahead at 2024? All of this on a day when the winter session of Parliament has begun as well, with chants talking about a third term for the Prime Minister now ringing inside from the floors of both houses of Parliament as well. Let's introduce our guests on the program today as we continue to decode elections 2023. Joining us on the program is a political analyst and BJP supporter and leader, Vinit Goenka. Vinit, namaskar, good to see you. Also joining us is author and analyst. He's the author of a book that was written well before, I promise you, this debate, the author of South versus North India, The Great Divide. That is Nilakantan RS. Good to see you. And the book was not written in the context of these elections, but it makes for an interesting context at the time. Rahul Dev, senior journalist and editor, is with us. Thank you very much, Rahul, for joining us. Also joining us is Sanjay, former spokesperson of the Congress. He's been critiquing the performance and the reasons for it online. And also joining us is Sriram Curry, who's, of course, the resident editor of the Deccan Chronicle and the first journalist to call the Telangana results accurately more than a week ago on this very program. I want to start actually by the Prime Minister. I want to start with the Prime Minister's statement today, talking about the victory in these elections and a warning or a word of advice for the opposition.
अगर मैं वर्तमान चुनाव नतीजों के आधार पर कहूं तो जो विपक्ष में बैठे हुए साथी हैं, ये उनके लिए गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी है। इस सत्र में पराजय का गुस्सा निकालने की योजना बनाने के बजाय इस पराजय में से सीख करके पिछले 9 साल से चलाई गई नकारात्मकता की प्रवृत्ति को छोड़ करके इस सत्र में अगर सकारात्मकता के साथ आगे बढ़ेंगे तो देश उनके तरफ देखने का दृष्टिकोण बदलेगा, उनके लिए एक नया द्वार खुल सकता है। और वो विपक्ष में है तो भी उनको एक अच्छी एडवाइस दे रहा हूं कि आइए, सकारात्मक विचार लेकर के आइए। अगर हम 10 कदम चलते तो आप 12 कदम करके फैसला लेकर के आइए। हर किसी का भविष्य उज्जवल है, निराश होने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन कृपा करके बाहर के पराजय का गुस्सा सदन में मत उतारना। हताशा, निराशा होगी, आपके साथियों को आपका दम दिखाने के लिए कुछ न कुछ करना भी पड़ेगा, लेकिन कम से कम लोकतंत्र के इस मंदिर को वो मंच मत बनाइए।
All right, let's start with first observations about what went wrong. I'll start with you, Sanjay from the loser's perch, and then I'll come to the victor's perch, which is Vinit Goenka's corner. Of course, the party you support, gained Telangana, but that doesn't politically make up for what happened in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. And today, data in the Hindustan Times showed that the Congress has not been able to win back any state elections since 2014. Many theories have been offered. Rahul Dev has argued on his Twitter timeline that the comments on Sanatan Dharma by DMK leaders had an impact. Your colleagues like Karti Chidambaram have argued that there's a clear South versus North divide. It's a debate that's got pushback. You yourself have argued that it's about the leaders you project. Sachin Pilot, for example, you think could have altered the result in Rajasthan. What's the big thing that's leaping out for you, Sanjay Jha?
Barkha, good evening, and hello to all my fellow panelists as well. Let me cut to the chase immediately. I think the Telangana victory for the Congress is significant. I think it's been a formidable bastion for long. The United Andhra, it actually helped Congress form governments at a time when it had headwinds from various other states. So I think the Congress should take a huge positive message from the victory in Telangana. I believe that where Rajasthan is concerned, or Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, you can't just make one blanket generalization, because although they are part of the Hindi heartland, they all have their own peculiar dynamics. I'll give you the example of Rajasthan to begin with. In Rajasthan, the vote share difference is just 2%. I have known Sachin well. I, in fact, kind of have been chatting with him, and he is very categorical that if he was given the opportunity to run the state a year earlier, he didn't want to become a Charanjit Singh Channi. He said, if I was given it 1 year earlier, I can guarantee that the Congress would have come back to power and defeated this swing vote, or the revolving door, kind of tradition of Rajasthan, voting out the incumbent and inviting the opposition. So I believe Harakiri committed in Rajasthan, and end of day, where I think Madhya Pradesh is concerned, it's a straight and simple case of extreme overconfidence and arrogance. Uh, I know a lot of people in the Congress, Barkha, and while we can get into granular details of ticket distribution, campaigning, the soft Hindutva, we can get into all that in finer detail, and I'm sure the other panelists will talk about it. The larger, the what I call is the overarching error, is the overconfidence or the belief that you have defeated or won an election already, because the trend seems to indicate that you're the front runner. And I think that's been the critical factor. As far as Chhattisgarh is concerned, that's an intriguing result. Baghel had been seen as somebody who's in command of the entire, Chhattisgarh, both the rural as well as Raipur. So that has come as a bit of a surprise. But once again, that's a message for the Congress, that end of day, when you're taking on the BJP, there are two things that the Congress needs to realize: that India after 2014 has a very rising undercurrent. I don't think it's just an undercurrent. It's a rising undercurrent of Hindutva that is actually now becoming more and more perceptible. And I believe that Hindutva is such a powerful emotional connect, Barkha, that it can overwhelm issues like social and economic welfare, jobs, inflation, corruption, and governance. So I think the Congress has to be aware that a large part of India is today, if they have two people who are equal in every other front, they will say, let me go with the one which is more nationalistic and definitely more Hindutva. So I think that is something that the Congress needs to be aware of. And the second element, the organizational muscle of the BJP. I feel that the Congress, even today, whether it comes to booth management, whether it comes to the nitty gritties of ensuring the last mile delivery, I think the Congress is still a work in progress. It is done better. I will concede the Congress campaigned aggressively. There were many things they did right. I'm not going to hang them simply because they lost. But the fundamental points are these. And I think somewhere down the line, the leadership in Delhi should have been, I think, while it's good to give the regional satraps the independence they deserve, I think the coordination was missing, which is why Ashok Gehlot got away scot-free for too long.
So you made a number of big points there, and I want to pick up one of them. You said Sachin Pilot should have been given time and should have been changed much earlier in Rajasthan. And you also said it's a case of arrogance and overconfidence in Madhya Pradesh. Are you saying that Kamal Nath in particular, I assume you mean, Kamal Nath has been arrogant? Sanjay?
Yeah, no, well, let me tell you, I know Kamal Nath personally, and I have tremendous regard for him, for his ability to be there fighting. He's not a young man, but I think the way he stayed in Bhopal after the 2000 kind of 20 debacle, stayed there and actually worked at the ground level. I was a little disappointed actually, and I'm going to convey that message to him sooner rather than later, that there was no need for him to, like, for example, be brusque with Akhilesh Yadav. I mean, like it or not, ASPs and the SPs add to your vote share, and the margins are usually small. I don't think that was necessary at all. I also felt that Kamal Nath probably, imitating this soft Hindutva tactics, they were not necessary. There were fundamental challenges there of farmers. There were issues of corruption. There was talk about how the Ujjain horror, the BJP leader urinating on a scheduled tribe, kind of individual. There were opportunities that actually could have become hugely macro. And I think in trying to play soft Hindutva, you send a wrong message somewhere down the line. And I do believe that when it comes to Hindutva, the Congress is not and should not try to practice Hindutva light. That is the BJP domain. Stick to being core secular. It paid off for you in Karnataka. It paid off for you in Himachal. It paid off for you in Telangana. There is no need to try and imitate BJP simply because Mama Ji was becoming a bulldozer mama. I think the Congress probably read too much into it.
Okay, Sanjay, you do realize that there are contradictory points of analysis that are coming. One that argues that Hindutva light doesn't work. Another that argues that actually you need, if these leaders hadn't practiced Hindutva light, the results might have even been worse. Vinit Goenka, let me bring you in. Vinit ji, go ahead.
Barkha Ram Ram to all the co-panelists and every viewer who is watching me right now. This election is simply about na. There are two words, samaj and na. One side, it is Modi ji, Bharatiya Janata Party, NDA, which has samaj. On the other side, it is Rahul ji, Congress and INDA alliance, where they have added na samaj. One has to understand Bharat, one has to understand the people living here. You cannot divide the society now in 2023 in Sanatan, anti-Sanatan. You cannot divide the society in caste basis. These are old techniques of Congress which have failed and failed miserably. Let me give you one example of Telangana where Congress itself has won. In Telangana in 2014, Congress has got 21 seats. In 2018, it went down to 19. Now it has got 64. But if you see Bharatiya Janata Party, it jumped from 1 to 8. That shows that the percentage of the votes in Telangana and the number of seats for Bharatiya Janata Party is smaller. It also simply means that people in Telangana or the southern part of India have started believing in Bharatiya Janata Party, the deleted Bharatiya Janata Party. So whoever is doing this mistake of calling this north-south divide or whatever should be advised that if they don't want to disseminate in the south, they should not try this. See, every time you try to throw mud on Narendra Modi, be it be Mauat ka Saudagar, be it be Chaukidar Chor, be it be Chaiwala, Neej or Panauji or Tariq Bataye, nahi bataoge, it does not stick. His deliveries have been seen by the common man and the common man believes in him. So what they have to rather do is come out with some positive campaign, tell what they have in their store if they come in power, so for argument. Otherwise, the days of disseminating of Congress are not far.
So, Vinit ji, you believe that the Sanatan Dharma comments by the DMK contributed to an election that took place far away in the north? Why do you draw the connection between the two?
See, on our panel, we have Rahul Devji, whom I've seen from my childhood and I've been following him. Whether I like his comments or not, whether I agree with him or not, but I respect him a lot. And also Sanjay ji. Sanjay has been very senior and I've been seeing him from my childhood. I'll let you tell you, there are three types of Hindus or Sanatans. One, who are vocal like me, who speak on the channels also in the practical life, we speak vocally about Sanatan. But there are another set of people who sometimes come out and react. But there is a third set of Sanatani Hindus, which is large population, which may go into crores, who never speak or never defend Sanatan in public debates. But these people, this time, were heard when this kind of abuse were held on them. These are common men who were sitting at home, never reacting to the call of Hindutva. But thanks to Rahul Gandhi, thanks to Mr. Stalin's son, that they woke up right now. If you insult the religion, if you hurt the religion, even the dormant Hindus who were not reacting would now react. I think this is the time when they reacted. Whether it is caste census, even that, now you cannot divide this society. So Hindu as such now is awakened. And I think it is time Congress should realize this.
Yeah. But Vinitji, this is interpretative. The fact is, we will never know. But Rahul and Nilakantan have both made opposing arguments on this issue if you were to follow their social media feed. Rahul ji, you have said that you believe there is a link. You believe there is a link between the comments made by Udinedi Stalin. So you see how contradictory everything is. Sanjay Jha says Hindutva light isn't working. Vinit Goenka says, well, the party's perception of being anti-Hindu has hurt it. Its allies making comments about Sanatan Dharma have hurt it. You agree with that, Rahul. How do you draw and join these dots? How do we know that what Udinedi Stalin says is having an impact on how, let's say, a voter in Jodhpur, right, or Indore is voting? And Rahul ji, you're on mute at your end. If you can unmute yourself and please respond. Ji.
My tweet about the Sanatan comment and the damage it did was the fifth point I made. I had made 4 points earlier.
Yes.
The larger reasons cutting across all the states that led to the defeat of the Congress, according to me, first is and was leadership. There are four things that I think are necessary for any political victory: leadership, organization, policy, and resources. The Congress and rivals have to match the other person, the other party in all four. I wrote, and I still believe, that the Congress could not match BJP in either the quality of leadership or the popularity of leadership or stature of leadership, call it what you may, the organizational strength, resources, and a clear message. Your policy, your program, and a clear message. It lagged all four when compared with BJP. So these are the structural challenges that Congress faced and failed. Sanatan comment, I said, apart from these, the Sanatan comment also damaged the party, damaged the India alliance also. Not because it was made. When the comment was made, I called it stupid. It was a stupid remark to make, stupid statement to make. But I said in my latest tweet that Congress' inability to counter this, to send across a clear message that we do not believe this, we are not for this demolishing Sanatan, we don't want it, and it should have contradicted it, condemned it in no uncertain terms. That clear message was not sent. Many of its leaders remained silent on it. They should have been out in the front contradicting Stalin, at least on this issue, and they should have tackled the intra-alliance dynamics later or inside, in camera. So that also helped in the overall scenario or contributed to the overall scenario. It wasn't the only reason. It wasn't this major reason either. So there were of course state reasons. I would say arrogance. I agree with Sanjay. They took their victory for granted in two states, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. They became a little slack, complacent, did not put all their 100 or 200% as the BJP did. And it reversed a certain defeat into victory. And Congress did just the reverse.
Yeah.
But
so I think,
yeah.
Sorry, I mean, cutting you short just to say that I take your point that you made many points about the organizational strength, about the quality of leadership, about resources. And on none of these, you believe that the Congress was able to compete effectively with the BJP. I want to take that to Nilakantan, who's not just the author of a book that examines the North-South divide, not in this context, again, I should clarify, but has also vociferously argued against those who are suggesting that Sanatan Dharma was a factor of any kind. Nilakantan, how do you look at this? As someone who has studied indices in the North, indices in the South, other differences, the fact is, and Sriram Kari will weigh in more than me, the fact is in Telangana, the BJP has a giant killer in the form of a politician who was actually able to beat the man who was going to be Chief Minister, Revanth Reddy, and the man who has been Chief Minister, KCR. So that's the first point. He defeated both of them in the constituency of Kamareddy. There he is. Also, the BJP vote share doubled in Telangana. Its seats have gone up from 1 to 8. Also, the BJP did exceedingly well in the Karnataka Lok Sabha elections. So two questions for you. One, the North-South divide that has been triggered by Congress leaders. And two, your belief that Sanatan Dharma was a non-factor or a factor or a principle that the Congress could not have disassociated itself from. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, let me begin with this idea of what people I don't know, for 100 years the Dravidian movements raison d'etre was what they call destruction of this idea of Sanatana Dharma, and in their understanding of it, they don't mean Hinduism. what they mean by that is destruction of the social order which it entails. And this has been going on for 100 years, since the time of the non-Brahmin movement, Justice Party later on, the Dravidian movement, the DK, the DMK, and the ADMK. Both national parties, both the Indian National Congress and the BJP, have allied with both Dravidian parties. And it's not as if, they did not know this history of 100 years before they allied with these. And so, Udayanidhi Stalin has not said a single thing which, any of the non-Brahmin movement founders never said, or the Dravidian movement ideologues never said, or the Justice Party founders never said, or, the E.V. Ramasamy Nayakar never said, or C.N. Annadurai never said, or M. Karunanidhi never said, or even, Ms. Jayalalitha never said. He's just restating what every single Dravidian party spokesperson has said for 100 years. To make an issue out of this in 2023 is amusing, to say the least, right? And, I will leave the politicians who are clever and good at their jobs can spin anything and get votes out of it, and whether it did or did not have an effect on Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, I don't know. And one of the tragedies of India is that we don't have proper exit poll data, and with which we can track all of these to certainty, like the Americans do or the Germans do. And so it is difficult for us to say that, but to sort of, at a philosophical level, for any lay person who is reasonably aware of the 100-year history of the Dravidian movement, to wake up in 2023 and say that, their claim of destroying Sanatan Dharma is somehow against Hinduism, and that caused people in random obscure places in, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh to vote against that is, I don't know, it beggars belief as someone who grew up in Madras, right? One. Second, the point I want to make with respect to the South versus North divide, and I saw, there was a Twitter outrage again. When people say that there is a divide, they use that as a noun and not a verb in the form of dividing, right? These are two different things. There is an existing divide, and that divide comes from the position of resource allocation problems that India has. It is the average voter in either Tamil Nadu or Kerala or Karnataka or Telangana, less so in Andhra Pradesh for different reasons, and we'll come to that later. Even the BJP, for instance, under Mr. Yadurappa, behaves largely as a regional party in Karnataka, to good effect, and good on him for that. And the reason for that is that Karnataka is a relatively wealthy state, a prosperous state, and it has a certain stake in that resource allocation. Therefore, he wants it to spin it that way. No chief minister of any of these southern states is going to basically say that we are okay with a falling resource allocation ratios in the Finance Commission, because of which there's going to be lesser and lesser devolution, and that we're okay with delimitation.
Okay. But I'm sorry I'm cutting you short, but that's a very different argument from suggesting, as Congress leaders have, that somehow the South is a block that is closed to the BJP.
It is for that reason. It is for that reason, because intuitively, ordinary voters do not do regression analyses and sort of map, policy positions with what their, voting, the election manifesto is. They intuitively grasp which sort of tribe they belong to, right? And in that sense, the average voter in North India feels more comfortable and identifies themselves with the BJP, for good or bad. And the BJP has done a good job in terms of communicating that to them, right? And because it has done that, the opposite is true for the southern voter.
Okay, I have to bring in Sriram Curry. Sriram, how do you respond to this argument? To some degree, parties do regionalize themselves. Even the Congress does that. The kind of Hindutva campaign that Kamal Nath ran in Madhya Pradesh was not identical to the kind of Congress campaign that was run in Rajasthan, right? The kind of BJP campaign that will be run in Arunachal Pradesh will not be the same as the kind that is run in Madhya Pradesh. I take Nilakantan's point that the BJP in Karnataka, for example, is not going to embrace Hindi. There is a linguistic issue related to identity. But does that create this macro north-south sort of debate that we're seeing? Is Sanatan Dharma an issue? You are in Hyderabad, the state which has provided the only solace, as it were, to the Congress. Yogendra Yadav, for instance, said on this program that Telangana is now blocking the gateway to the BJP for entry into the South. What do you say about that?
Firstly, let's be very clear that South India comprises of Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. the Dravidian movement is restricted by and large, to my understanding, to Tamil Nadu. So do not take a political aspect of Tamil Nadu and impose it on the rest of the South Indian states either. It is like assuming all people in Hyderabad and Bangalore support RCB and Dhoni. They don't. Second, when Periyar spoke about Sanatan Dharma, it was not possible within 180 seconds for people in Indore and Jodhpur to read his statement on Twitter. 100 years later, it happens. The point is not whether Sanatan Dharma statement of DMK is an issue or not. And Vinit ji spoke about it nicely. There are three kinds of Hindus. I'll get to that in a minute. The point is, somebody in today's world willing to say something about Sanatan Dharma would find a lot of people reacting differently to it, because the truth is, in the last 30 odd years, there are several people who find a different kind of a comfort with the larger philosophy of Sanatan Dharma. You may subscribe to it, you may like it, you may not support it. For example, I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
But I was born in a Hindu family. I am willing to criticize, discuss a lot of things about Hinduism. But if somebody abuses it, I do feel bad. I feel it's needless, especially if a politician does it. Now, it's very convenient for Mr. Dayanidhi Maran to say that. But there are certain things he won't say in the name of freedom of speech, or even allow you to say in Tamil Nadu about, say, Mr. Periyar or the Dravidian movement itself. So it was unwise. But the point about why people in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan reacted is not that it became an issue and people said, look, DMK said the statement, Congress did not condemn it, so will you vote for the BJP? No. When you do not see Congress condemn something they hold dear, their ability to trust that party goes down. Somewhat. It's like this. I say something, Mr. Nilakantan doesn't like it. Tomorrow, even if I say it's Tuesday, he may likely less believe it. You become a little suspicious and hostile. And that's what happened. A trust deficit with a series of things. The larger problem for Congress in 24, and I'll come to the North-South as a concluding statement, Barkha, is this. I would like to very sincerely believe Hindutva is an integral philosophy, a political integral philosophy to which, like communism or democracy or liberal social democracy, Congress has not yet found a comprehensive or answer, and they keep trying different things. But let me conclude. I don't want you to take that off tangentially. Barkha, please give me 60 more seconds. Yogendra Yadav is wrong. BJP, which lost in Karnataka and Telangana, will be a force in the Lok Sabha. I am saying this 6 months before the elections. BJP may sweep Karnataka, where the Congress government has been formed, and in Telangana, the fight for 17 Lok Sabha seats will be only between Congress and BJP. So BJP may not be as formidable in the South. And I've told you the reason long back, because it's a Hindi party more than a Hindu party.
So basically, okay, that's a very interesting distinction. Basically, you're saying it's not that the BJP's Hindutva politics puts off voters in the South, and I use the South in a loose sort of thing because I understand that it's not a monolith. It's the Hindiness of the BJP, not the Hindutva of the BJP. That is a kind of block in the South. I want to open this up. Sanjay, Sanjay, jump it right in. Sanjay, go. Sanjay.
Barkha, I tend to agree. I tend to agree with what Sriram said because, I have been in Karnataka for a long time and I know that the people in Karnataka, the Karnataka Congress is aware that the Lok Sabha election is going to be a different ballgame. And I think the fact that in Telangana, the BJP has done better than expected in the assembly elections means that when you add the Narendra Modi factor, it does become a lot more competitive. So, I, for example, I'm a little surprised how some people in the Congress are talking about North and South for the simple reason that the Congress is there in Himachal Pradesh, it's been in Punjab, it's not been in Uttar Pradesh. I think the North is not Uttar Pradesh only either. I mean, that is the point that we tend to make a mistake in, that we are always making everything into a stereotype. We take one state and say that is the entire South. That's not true at all. And the Congress, for example, has been in Rajasthan. And if you look at it in Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and in Madhya Pradesh, you take Karnataka, these are largely Hindu dominated states. The Muslim population in Himachal is less than 5-6%. Punjab as well. So what are we talking about here? I think there is a very simplistic reductionist argument being made by what I call is really armchair analysts, because they are seeing two back-to-back victories of the Congress in Karnataka and Telangana and amplifying that as some kind of a message saying that out here the religious identity that the BJP pushes in its propaganda is not having an impact. I do believe, and I think that's a fundamental point, that Barkha, the underlying sentiment, and I'm saying so because I can tell you, I also talk to a lot of people. Indians, by and large, are religious people. I want to tell you that we are basically conservative people. And I think what's the opposition sometimes tends to make a mistake on is not realizing that there's a difference between being religious and there's a difference being
So the
communal.
problem, so the problem
Religious
for the
and
party
communal are two different things.
So the challenge for the party you support, because you opened the program by saying Hindutva light isn't working, is to
Right.
find a counter narrative.
Yeah.
That can answer this without being seen to be anti-Hindu. The AK
Absolutely.
Antony report famously said the Congress is perceived to be anti-Hindu.
Well, my short answer is that I've written about it. I've put it in my book that you read, and I will say it again. The Congress needs to respond to the religious identity card being said by the BJP. You cannot dodge away, because my firm conviction is that Rahul Gandhi makes an one-off statement saying Hinduism is not Hindutva. He's right. But how do you articulate this into a political argument so that you tell people that the BJP is not the custodian of Hinduism?
Okay,
It is actually running a political movement.
So, we've spoken about Kamal Nath's arrogance. We've spoken about Sachin Pilot, being given the state earlier. We've spoken about abstractions such as North-South, how to think of religiosity. We have not actually spoken about leadership. Rahul Dev's first point was also about leadership and organization. And let's acknowledge that the Modi factor has been a huge factor in these elections. In these three states that the BJP won, there was no declared chief ministerial candidate. There was some marginalization of state-level leaders. Vinit, Goenka, what happens to these leaders now? Does the Shivraj Singh Chauhan become the chief minister? Is his role acknowledged for pulling this off even after so many years as an incumbent? Or is the BJP trying to create a new second generation of leadership in the new hierarchy that the Modi-Shah duo are building for the BJP? Please.
See, who will be the chief minister? And that all name will come up in the time, maybe a few hours or maybe in a day or two. That's not a big subject. What really matters is whether the voters are convinced in the governance model of Bharatiya Janata Party, whether they're convinced with the Modi name and the way he's running the things. I think one thing the previous speaker should understand, there is a word which is going on in the entire country, which is RISE, R-I-S-E. Let me explain this to you, Barkha, in the reverse way. E of the RISE is economics. Now the youth is concerned about economics, and when you deliver economics to them, they make sense to them. S stands for security. Do you mean that? And then that has been seen the last 9.5 years. Whether it is surgical strike, whether it is air strike, or whether it is no tolerance, zero tolerance to terrorism. The I stands for infrastructure, and I think that also communicates whether it is eastern, northeastern parts of India, whether it is southern part of the India or any other part. The road, the rail, the airport, and the port. But very important in this RISE is the R, religion. Now, in this contest of 2023, you cannot insult the religion. Nobody talks about this thing. And the friend who talked about 100 years of Dravidian movement, let me tell you, people get hurt when you appoint a board in Tirupati which does not believe in Tirupati's preachings or this thing. Those people who go there to Tirupati, they get hurt, sir. And those are not only Telugu speaking people. There are people like me who don't understand Telugu, but we have belief and we go there. So, and people in the town of Tirupati understand the economics of Tirupati runs not because of only Telugu speaking people, but people who are sitting on this panel. So they get hurt. So when you say talk about north-south divide, let me tell you, people in the south would not talk about the 100 years of Dravidian movement. They would now talk about the growth and the benefits of the country. So, probably the youth should be read by Congress. Youth should be read by Rahul Gandhi. They should focus on what they can deliver rather than trying to divide the country in
Okay,
then in language, then in southern part, eastern part, northern part. कब तक divide करते रहेंगे?
Okay, the point is that I just want to bring in a new point before I come to Rahul and Nilakantan and Sriram. What happens to the alliance? Sanjay Jha spoke about how he didn't agree with how Kamal Nath spoke about Akhilesh Yadav. Akhilesh Yadav, in the middle of this campaign, said that the Congress is a Chalu party. What happens to this alliance now? Will the Congress go it solo and commit itself to a long-haul rebuilding that could take decades as the country seemingly enters a one-party domination phase? And we've seen this phase earlier. At that time, the Congress was the dominant party. What happens to the India Alliance? Omar Abdullah, who's a member of the India Alliance, actually had a very dire warning about survival, about existence. And let's listen to him and then come back to the panel.
तो खुद देखना होगा ना, कांग्रेस के किसी लीडर ने अगर बयान दिया तो उसमें मुझे टिप्पणी या कमेंट करने की क्या जरूरत है? सर, अपना राय।
आज के रिजल्ट के बारे में क्या कहेंगे? जो भी रुझान आ रहे हैं इसके बारे में क्या कहेंगे? क्या स्थिति है?
बीजेपी को तो मुबारक कहना ही होगा, क्योंकि हम शायद ये उम्मीद नहीं कर रहे थे। हमें लग रहा था, जो हम सुन रहे थे, बाकी तो ग्राउंड पे क्या था वो तो दूसरी बात है, लेकिन दोस्तों से, साथियों से कम से कम हम ये सुन रहे थे कि छत्तीसगढ़ में तो कांग्रेस आराम से आगे है, मध्य प्रदेश में भी वो जीत जाएंगे, तेलंगाना में तो उनकी कॉन्फिडेंस थी, और यहाँ तक कह रहे थे कि राजस्थान में भी वो आखिर में निकल आएंगे। जब नतीजे सामने आए तो मां सिवाय तेलंगाना के उनकी बाकी बातें जो हैं वो बेबुनियाद साबित हुई। ना वो छत्तीसगढ़ बचा सके, ना वो मध्य प्रदेश वापस जीत सके, और ना वो राजस्थान दोबारा जीत पाए। मध्य प्रदेश में देखिए ना, अब शायद थोड़ी देर के लिए कमलनाथ जी चीफ मिनिस्टर रहे, लेकिन उसको छोड़ के अब 20 साल तो हो गए, ये 5वां टर्म शायद शुरू होने जा रहा है। सर, ये कोई मामूली बात नहीं है। और 6 तारीख को शायद कांग्रेस के सदर ने कुछ इंडिया अलायंस के लीडरों को खाने पे बुलाया है। चलिए 3 महीने के बाद उनको दोबारा इंडिया अलायंस याद आया, अब देखते हैं उस पर क्या बात होती है।
सर, इंडिया अलायंस का फ्यूचर क्या रहेगा, क्योंकि आप भी उसका हिस्सा है?
मैं कह नहीं सकता हूँ ना। जिस तरह इंडिया अलायंस का इन स्टेट इलेक्शंस में हाल रहा, अगर आगे जाके भी यही हाल रहेगा तो हम शायद बच नहीं पाएंगे। समझ में नहीं आता, या तो कांग्रेस पूरी तरह से मध्य प्रदेश में ग्राउंड सिचुएशन को समझ नहीं पाई, नहीं तो क्या जाता अगर वो अखिलेश यादव को 5-7 सीटें दे देते, क्या तूफान होता।
3 महीने के बाद इंडिया अलायंस की याद आई। वेरी स्केदिंग, very blunt words. Before I take it around the panel, Sanjay, do you want to say something? Sanjay, because this is the point you were making.
Yeah, Barkha, I think this is a tad unfair. I'll tell you why. Because the last meeting that happened of the India Alliance in Mumbai, I mean, the decision was taken that end of day, they will meet at a future time. I wish it had happened earlier. I agree with him there. But there was supposed to be no electoral arrangement for the assembly elections. And the Congress obviously can't be blamed for being preoccupied with the assembly elections because it is critical. You are head-to-head with the BJP. So I really don't think we should read too much into it. But it's sure. One thing which I will admit, that the Congress party now has to act like a more accommodating big brother. And you can't act like somebody with hubris saying, I'm the one who's going to call the shots.
Okay, Rahul Dev, what happens to the India Alliance? And that's, there's a lot that's been said about North-South, Hindi as distinct from Hindutva. These are very interesting and important points.
Well, they have lost the first chance they got to show some unity of purpose, some common understanding, and the willingness to compromise and adjust. These elections, state elections, were the first chance that the alliance had to show the people, the country, that they are serious and they can work with each other for a larger goal. They have missed that chance badly.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not sure what can they now achieve in the next 4 or 5 months, because time is too short for such a large and variegated alliance with parties of all sorts, with competing philosophies, uh, perspectives, and ideologies. So they have to present one narrative, one national positive alternative narrative to the people. Have they got down to sort of work it out?
What
They
about
have to sort
leadership?
out.
What about
Yes, I was coming to that. Coming to that. First is leadership. I understand that it will take longer to work out the leadership issue, so it need not occupy their first. I mean, right now, but the narrative has to be and a common program, a common understanding, so that they present a united, common front to the people. They can't be speaking in 10 different voices, saying 20 different things. So
right?
these are serious issues, and I have my doubts whether they have the ability to really do it, because they haven't shown it in the first chance they got, and this was a major
And those
chance.
and those were the very scathing from Omar Abdullah. I want to just take Nilakantan back before I come to Sriram. Go ahead. You heard the distinction between Hindi and Hindutva. And I think it's an important one.
Yeah. So, I just want to make this point very clear, right? The reason why the BJP is perceived as a North Indian party, and even in Karnataka, and because of which, we spoke about Mr. Yadurappa's party being slightly different from the BJP itself. The reason for that is that there is a sort of what a communist theorists would call, whatever common sense they call Gramscian common sense, right? In that people sort of identify with their sort of quote unquote tribe, and in that tribal understanding, the simple assumption, it is true for all of southern India that there is a sense that we are unequal partners in the union. And given that we are unequal partners in the union, and nobody's arguing that all 5 southern states are the same, nobody's making that case. However, in the resource allocation problems, they all lie below the regression line. And it is not my argument again.
But sorry, I have a clarification. If it's about the sense of inequality in the resource allocation, that could be just as true if there was a strong Congress government at the center.
It is absolutely true, which is the reason why, the Congress party has not formed government in my home state of Tamil Nadu. And it is not the first choice probably for many of the other southern states as well. However, when it comes to a BJP versus Congress sort of straight, fight, the assumption being the BJP being an explicitly Hindi party as opposed to the Congress, having some version of an Nehruvian idea of India, which is slightly less antagonistic to their interests, is true. But be that as it may, the point that I want to make here is when Karti Chidambaram or Praveen Chakravarty or whoever it is, when they make this idea of South versus North divide, they mean very different things. They are not in the context of dividing. What they mean is the pocketbook interests of the southern voter is very different from the pocketbook interests of the northern voter, and the way in which the average voter identifies and sort of aligns with the political party that they think is in their corner, so to speak, is very different. Which is why the southern voter.
I understand your emphasis, and I want to take that to Sriram. Your emphasis is not on which party between the Congress and the BJP can do better in the southern states. Your emphasis, Nilakantan, is on the voter and the voter's perception, as it were, of a kind of over-centralized politics that leaves these states out in resource allocation. And the important point being made, Sriram, here is the point that Yashwant Deshmukh also made, that it's not as if outside of Kerala, the Congress is a player in any of these states. Yes, it's become a player now in Telangana, but it's taken a while. It's taken a while for the Congress and it had some dormant roots maybe in its cadres in the south compared to the north. But I think that's an important point that Nilakantan made, that the emphasis is on parties where he's talking about the voter.
Barkha, like I said, Hindutva is a very comprehensive philosophy comprising everything. It's a one-stop solution. A lot of people subscribe to it. The problem is not finding an answer to it. Congress is tempted, and many parties will be tempted, especially parties where families run, that the next generation would easily tend to go towards this extreme rabid woke for a solution and answer. And that would be the undoing of anybody, because most people are centrist by nature. There is a little of a left slant from an economic perspective, and the right slant towards cultural and religious sentiments. That's how most voters are. You have to look to the voter reasonably similar to them for them to trust you. It's like the way you dress shouldn't be too different from them. The way you speak shouldn't be too different from them. Your sense of religion, sense of faith shouldn't be too different from them. If you do it only before elections for 4 weeks, it won't work. Let me tell you, Barkha, more than anything, when you perceive we are less than 6 months away from 2024, I know it will come as very bad news to you and me, because 180 days, we are hoping there'll be a big debate, fierce debate, who will win, who will win. I'm sorry to say, when you look at two cricket teams, the way they walk into the field, or a football team, you have to look like a winner to go on to win, especially where people will decide.
Why is it bad? Why is it bad news to us? We're journalists. We're just telling the story.
Because there's no debate about who will win in 2024.
Oh, you're saying it's a one-sided story, so it's a boring
if it
story.
is Modi on one side,
Yes.
and India Alliance and the kind of things they're saying, and we have 150 days to go, and you are going to talk about Marxist theories and defend the Dayanidhi, Junior Stalin's comment.
Yeah.
Please, this country, you have to, this is all I'm saying, draw your average voter, just like artists say.
But Sriram, just to be fair, Nilakantan made the point that a generation of leaders in the DMK and the AIDMK would have said the same thing.
That's why I said it works in Tamil Nadu. Let him speak. It's very easy to say a lot of things against Ram in Tamil Nadu, but he can't say against Muruga. I'm sure Nilakantan will agree, but I'm not even talking about Tamil Nadu. My point is this: draw an average voter. For a politician to win their faith, you have to be closer to them, both in terms of deep-rooted how you are, and Modi is more Indian to more Indians than Rahul Gandhi, and that's the end of the story. So yes, Telangana brilliant victory. Karnataka, they won. BJP will do very well in these two states. Don't say BJP. If BJP is not good here, it's because they speak Hindi and we have other languages. The day BJP leaders start speaking 3 languages, they'll have a better chance. I'm not saying we are against Hindi. We like people who can speak minimum 3 languages. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I'll come to Nilakantan, and then I want to take last comments on Rahul Gandhi, whom we've not spoken about at all, after Nilakantan makes his point. Go ahead, Nilakantan.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, you cannot, the idea of being against the quote-unquote Sanatan Dharma is a foundational principle of the DMK. You cannot be a DMK leader and not say that. That is the reason the entry of
the luxury.
Sriram,
DMK has the luxury that it can afford
to. Sriram, just a second. Let him just make his point, and then you can react. Nilakantan, please complete your point.
The point is that it is not my. I don't hold the DMK's brief. But the point is that it is not the DMK's role to make elect the Congress in Delhi. The DMK exists for its own sake. Right? And it has an ideological position, and it is doing its job. Right? Now, it is if suddenly 100 years later, voters in Jodhpur and like Bhopal have woken up, and because of the BJP sort of spinning machine, they've sort of figured that, oh my God, they are like that and like whatever. Like, hey, that's the state of India. That it is not the DMK's job to install a Congress government.
Okay. Brief interjection, Sriram. I have to move on to the others.
30 seconds. It is totally a luxury of DMK. They can say whatever they want because they control 39 Lok Sabha seats. Good for them. But it's the problem for Congress. Don't forget, in Mahabharata, Karna was killed not because he was a bad guy, because he chose to associate with Duryodhana. The association of Congress, which wants to fight in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, if they are seen as aligned to DMK, even on this issue, you won't get punished and penalized for abusing in Tamil Nadu severely politically. But in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan,
the debate carries
Uttarakhand, Haryana, you will be.
with respect, the South is currently dominating the North in this program. I do have to go to the others. I do have to go to the others. Sriram, I can see that little thumbs up there because you were complaining till yesterday that we were not giving our guests from the southern states enough time. So with respect, Vinit ji, go ahead. Last comments. Vinit ji.
So, on a lighter note, I would like to thank, Nilakantan ji, Rahul Gandhi ji, and Dayanidhi ji, that they should keep speaking. The more they speak, more votes will come to Bharatiya.
I mean, Nilakantan is not a politician, so he's his own angle. Yes, but go ahead.
But
yes.
that helps us a lot. So they should keep speaking on the lighter note. But on the serious note, please understand in 2023, the first-time voter and those who have been voting for last 7-8 elections, they have one saying in Hindi and which can be spoken in any language. Na dharm par, na jaat par, na bhasha par. Ab keval kaam par. Only on the work and the delivery, people will do it. This is a time of social media. This is a time when people are aware what is happening. You cannot fool them on language. You cannot fool them on 100-year-old theory which you want to propagate. People will ask what you have delivered. And if you have delivered roads, if you have delivered railway, if you have delivered flights, if you have delivered ports, let me give you an example. I was on the task force of shipping. Sir, I went to Chennai. When I went to the port, the suggestions which were given by us were implemented. And now today you see the number of jobs been given in the port itself. Now, do you want to say that North-South divide will come there? People get jobs there. They will be happy. I went to Coimbatore. Coimbatore, there was the issue. We studied the issue. The cabotage law was solved. Now, I'll tell you, the number of North Indians staying in Coimbatore is sizable. Will they not vote after 5 years? Because they will become citizens, then they will register there as a voters. At the same time, if you go to Mehboob Nagar, if you go to Nalgonda, if you go to other parts of Telangana and also the other parts of the southern India, they talk about development now. They don't talk about all this which you're talking. So, sir, you'll have to rise up, talk about delivery, talk about clean.
Let me take this point about governance to Sanjay Jha, and I'll give Rahul Dev the last word. Sanjay, I want to take you back to again the Hindustan Times has some very interesting deep dive data today showing that the Congress has not been able to win a government since 2014. In other words, Congress governments don't get voted back, right?
yeah.
How do you explain that? That was the hope you all had with Baghel.
Yeah. Now, Barkha, let me tell you, that is a very disturbing story of Congress. In fact, if you look at it, add Odisha, not since 2000, Gujarat, 25 years. And this is the same party that had Sheila Dikshit for 15 years, that had Tarun Gogoi for 15 years, right? So clearly, some things have changed dramatically. And one of the reasons behind the collapse of the Congress in retaining its states is a simple fact that it is not able to consistently create a communication with the voters. The party has this problem. It announces fancy programs and policies with the right intentions, but its ability to, I would say, strike a chord, especially when the opposition is disruptive and creates an emotive religious agenda, it struggles. It completely struggles. I just want to make one point to what Nilakantan said, and I would agree with him. Because one of the points that you look at, why is Anna DMK broken up with the BJP? For the simple reason that they want to toe the same line of the DMK. If they don't, on the entire Periyar issue and that comment that the Stalin Jr. made, Anna DMK, which has the same ideology in terms of the political practice of Sanatan Dharma, the way they see it in Tamil Nadu, will be literally decimated in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
So I think you cannot deny what he said. What he said is right, that the BJP spun it, like they took, Bani Shankar's comment called niche on Modi and made it into an electoral issue. Now that is politics, and the Congress needs to handle that better.
Can I ask you something, Nilakantan? I know you have a brief interjection, but no one has spoken about leadership except Rahul Dev, right? No one. Sanjay, I'm going to ask you, because there was a time when you were not convinced of Rahul Gandhi leading the party.
Yeah.
Are you going back to that position today? Do you believe that the Congress has to, at some point, like you come from a corporate world, at some point, if a CEO cannot deliver the numbers, the CEO gets changed?
Yeah. Barkha, when it comes to leadership, I'm very ruthless. Actually, I follow the football coach model. You fail, you quit. You actually pack your bags and leave. I believe that Rahul Gandhi, after Bharat Jodo Yatra, has enhanced his political brand. However, I want to add this point. I believe a leader has to be extremely inspirational. He has to be a storyteller, and at the end of the day, pick up the phone and solve problems at the drop of a hat. I think Rahul, basically, in my opinion, doesn't yet take his speeches with the gravitas that I would expect him to. And there would be many people in the Congress who won't agree. But I believe he's had phenomenal opportunities in Parliament and outside to actually deliver outstanding speeches to nail the government. He does well, but I think he doesn't really kill it.
He doesn't really kill it, but should he step aside?
I think he's already stepped aside, and Mr. Kharge, I think, has been good for the party. I think Rahul
Mr. That's not fair. Mr. Kharge is like an administrator. Mr. Kharge is like the HR manager. Mr. Kharge, if you're sticking with corporate analogies, Mr. Kharge is like the HR head, while Rahul Gandhi is the brand you're selling.
Okay,
right?
let me tell you.
Is the brand working?
I believe in the India Alliance, Rahul Gandhi, for all the good work he's done, if he announces today that I am not going to be the consensus prime ministerial candidate, no matter how much the Congress wants to him to be one, it will actually help the India Alliance, because Rahul is still popular as a star campaigner, and he need not worry about holding that pivotal position. It will give a shot in the arm to the India Alliance.
So Rahul should say he is not a contender for PM.
Yep, I think that will help everybody, including him. I mean, he's popular. I mean, he's recovered his political brand. There is no need for, you don't have to be the Congress president or the prime minister to be one of the most relevant people in Indian politics. I love the way he's taken on Modi. And I think that's a good thing. Everyone doesn't have to be the prime minister. Everyone doesn't have to be the president. We all have a role to play. And that is the differentiation I would like to see.
Okay, Nilakantan briefly, and then Rahul Dev last word. Nilakantan, yes. I can't hear you. Once again, just yeah, go ahead.
So the point that was discussed a while earlier, which is the ability to get re-elected, that is a worry for political parties. I think as people outside who are not in the business of politics, at least three of us are not, or four of us are not. Analysis and regression analysis has repeatedly proved states which re-elect their chief ministers do significantly worse compared to states which actually have a revolving door system, right? For instance, Rajasthan has made the greatest stride away from the Bimaru club, so to speak, right? And good for them that they sort of chuck the incumbent government and chose the BJP, which is why MP is a problem. If you look at Madhya Pradesh over the last 20 years, it has been laggard. And if you compare Madhya Pradesh,
so you're saying changing governments frequently keeps the state healthier? Is that what you're arguing?
You look at IMR, you look at MMR, you look at the total number of jobs created, you look at the daily wage rate, you look at the under 5 health rate, you look at every metric that is measurable. If you do a simple regression chart, you will the answer is pretty clear.
Okay, now now I can't close the program. One minute. Yeah. Okay,
Sriram, 1 term change is not good. 2 terms change is good, which is why we do very well. If you don't change a government for 5 terms like Tripura and West Bengal, you have a different problem. If you change it once, twice, just like the American president, I think it works best. The only exception will be 24 and Modi.
Sir, there is mathematical evidence. I'm not talking off the top of my head.
Okay.
Can I say?
Okay. Yes, Vinit, good.
On the lighter side, once again, thank God these people exist in India and we will keep winning. But on the serious side, if I talk about, please understand one thing, sir. Out of the 679 seats been contested in the last 40 days, Bharatiya Janata Party gets 342 seats, which is a jump of 143 seats. Realize one thing. This is 2023. People want delivery. People want good governance. And that has been delivered by Bharatiya Janata Party. Now you talk about 1 term, 2 term, north, south. Keep doing this, sir, because and please do this till end of May. It helps us.
Okay, I do of course agree that politicians have compulsions that that journalists, authors, writers, academics do not, and we are freer to explore ideas, Vinitji, than you and Sanjay are. But that said, let me give the last word to Rahul Dev, who's been waiting patiently to speak. Sanjay Jha made an interesting point. Rahul Gandhi should declare, come what may, I am not a contender for Prime Minister in 2024. That is an important point, because otherwise there is going to be many questions that even the allies might ask now about whether the Congress is the bloc that leads the opposition into 24?
I agree with him. I think not just Rahul Gandhi, but the whole Gandhi family should dissociate itself from actively running the Congress party. In today's, in this age, a family-based leadership makes no sense. Then you have no democratic credentials left to lecture anybody else. And this leadership has failed. Rahul Gandhi, as a active vote getter, has failed. He is more in the mold of a thinker and an activist than a politician. He is not a politician by nature. It is very clear. Rajiv Gandhi was also not a politician by nature. His mother was. Anyway, but he got a chance because of very extraordinary circumstances. But Rahul Gandhi, he's liked by people. He's very likable. He's very sincere and serious. He tries to study. He tries to sort of go deep into issues, but he cannot be the front face of Congress, the Congress party in elections. Second problem the Congress party faces, and the whole alliance, India alliance faces, is that they have to come up with an alternative narrative on Hindutva, on the nationalism issue.
Yeah,
I've told you, I've been in RSS for a very, very long time. I was sort of opened my eyes into RSS, so I know where it's coming from. And I, because of my own study and my own interests, have realized that its idea of Hinduism is faulty. It's not correct. This is not real Hinduism. Therefore, I moved away. There is a possibility, and there is a very clear possibility of articulating the real Hinduism, the real Sanatan Dharma. I mean, I don't want to go into those issues right now. We don't have the time, but I wish sometimes we debate this issue on what is Sanatan and what is Hinduism. Hinduism is not Savarkar's Hindutva. So now that this sort of virus has been introduced in the body politic, there's no getting away from it. Everyone has to find an answer to this, a response to it. Whether you like it, you agree with it, or oppose it, but you have to have a narrative and an answer to this narrative of so-called cultural Hindu nationalism. That is my point number 2.
Vinit, quickly. Vinit.
I think all these thinkers whom I have been seeing from my childhood to rethink, today's youth only looks for development. That has been delivered. The delivery has been praised, delivery has been voted for. Now, and you cannot insult my religion, sir. Any way, any form. I would like to leave. I never disturbed anybody. I don't want to be disturbed. मैंने किसी को छेड़ा नहीं, कोई मुझे छेड़ेगा, उसको छोड़ेंगे नहीं. This is the terminology which youths today use. So anybody speaks against my religion in any form, we will not like it.
Well, Rahul, they've actually agreed with you, Vinit ji, on the Sanatan Dharma issue, by the way. He agreed with you. Nilakantan didn't, but Rahul, they've
not their definition of Sanatan Dharma.
No, on the political impact of those comments. I'm talking about the political impacts of Udinidhi Stalin's comments. That's what I was talking about. Anyway, the debate rages on. Sorry,
मैंने कहा पिता सामान्य आपके सामने क्या बोलूंगा सर मैं तो बचपन से आपको देख के बड़ा हुआ I cannot speak much beyond this.
No,
Sanjay. Vinit, I keep trying. This program is not ending only. Okay, Sanjay, go ahead. Yeah.
No, Vinit, I think you're a dear friend, but I did not like you using words like "hum nahi chhodenge." I mean, it has a ring of intimidation and threat. That is precisely the problem with that political ideology you represent. That's the problem.
Vinit, I think Vinit, would you like to?
I think you should clarify that position. That sounds extremely nasty.
I just want to say, I think Vinit was trying to quote the voter, not himself. Vinit, did we misread you? Did we misunderstand you? What were you trying to say?
No, he was saying that's his political philosophy or the party's political philosophy.
So what does it mean by हम किसी को छेड़ेंगे नहीं, हमको कोई छेड़ा तो हम उसको छोड़ेंगे नहीं? We will not like to interfere, comment or disturb any other religion or any other philosophies. But if somebody tries to play with us, insulted, then there will be reaction. And the reaction is very democratic by ballots. And see this reaction. If you see what has happened in Mizoram, what has happened in Telangana, the traditional states where Bharatiya Janata Party was not present, see the jump which has happened. So people will react to it. And react is not always the way you see jihad or the other things.
Vinit, why are we getting into this?
Reaction
We were having
This is exactly the problem.
let's not
Let me enjoy this. किसी और दिन इस पे चर्चा करेंगे आज
नहीं मैं वही बोलना चाह रही थी कि up until now we were having a robust but a pretty civil and a convivial debate. Let's try and end it on that note. Yeah. We'll have a debate around religion, Sanatan Dharma, true Hinduism, Hindutva, kisi aur din. I think Vinit has. I'm going to assume that Vinit did not mean to use a language of intimidation. Okay, Sriram and Nilakantan both have their hands up. Please, 30 seconds each. Nilakantan and then Sriram. Nilakantan,
The
yes.
only north-south.
One minute, Sriram, 1 minute. Nilakantan, and then you can have the closing word. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to respond to the comment that the BJP has delivered development. I just want to give you one statistic, which is the total number of factories in the state of Tamil Nadu is about 39,500, if I'm not wrong. That is greater than the total number of factories in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand put together, right? And if we are talking about development, like the South has, like, you know, I wrote an entire book about it. You can go read it. But the point is that in every measurable index that you can imagine, the South has like far exceeded what, the Indo-Gangetic plains have achieved. And that is what development is. And we should not be, if you're serious about anything, we should look at the indices.
Okay. But that again, I would say applies as much to if there was a Congress government.
20 seconds. I agree with you, Nilakantan. I agree with you, sir. Prabhu Ramchandra ji was from North, but his final karma bhumi and performance was there in Tamil Nadu. Had he not performed there, he would not have been my lord. So thank you. Okay. That land has that kind of blessing, sir, for all of us. That land is blessed, sir.
Okay. Sriram, last word.
But Rahul says, I agree on this with Nilakantan. South is economically more developed than the North and promote people with more than one language knowledge that creates a kind of more correct citizen of democracy and will vote the kind of politics which will facilitate development. So teach people more than one language. And South Indians actually are very good at it.
Okay, I do want to say thank you. We also do have the Mizoram that we should just talk about, that the ZPM has swept with 27 leads, and that is also something that we have to make note of, that other than Madhya Pradesh, there has been a vote for change everywhere in the 5 states, right? Rajasthan has swapped, Baghel has lost, Telangana has changed hands, Madhya Pradesh has voted for the incumbent, and in Mizoram too, the incumbent has lost. So that's quite a story, by the way, for Shivraj Singh Chauhan to make his own. It really is quite a story, even as the larger debates around national politics, alliances, Hindutva, Hinduism, North versus South rage on. Thank you, gentlemen, to Sriram, to Nilakantan, to Vinit, Sanjay, and Rahul. It's a pleasure. And to our audience, thank you. See you tomorrow. Mojo Story has always made a commitment to its viewers to go to where the story is. And as you can see here, we are at the epicenter of the Israel war on Gaza. We are right at the front line, about 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli military gets ready with its tanks and its gunners to begin its final frontal assault that will take troops into Gaza. As we said, we are not like other organizations. We believe in giving you all sides of the story objectively and as much as possible from the ground. And that's exactly what we're doing here, covering the biggest global story today from the epicenter of the war zone. So please, we need your support. Support us, become a Mojo member, subscribe to us, spread the word, and thank you for your support.